Hi. Today we're making capacitive touch sensors, which consist of aluminum, microcontroller, piece of wire, and a high-value resistor. I think this is about a meg. Capacitive touch sensor basically is a method of detecting proximity and actual touch by the human hand. It can be arbitrarily sensitive, so sensitive that you don't actually need to touch the sensor. You just need to bring your hand close to it. The way it works is that the microcontroller rapidly charges and decharges essentially what's half of a capacitor. So it switches between sending a high signal out through the resistor wire in series to this piece of aluminum, and then it rapidly, just as quickly, turns off that high value and switches it to a sink, and then basically lets the charge slowly go through back down through the resistor and wire. And so what happens is that when you bring your hand close, you disturb, I think it's the magnetic field, you'll have to Google it to double check, but you basically disturb the field and affect the rate of discharge. And then you can read that value through the microcontroller, and essentially if nothing's touching it, you'll get an average value in some arbitrary unit, and as you get closer, the number will skyrocket out of bounds. It'll get really high value. So from that, you can kind of sense that somebody's come close. And if you really have your code right and you tune it properly, and you have everything figured out and calculated, you can get it so that it only will affect it when you touch it. So basically, I'm doing an experiment today to see what different size aluminum and wire length have to do. So the idea is I want to be able to produce like a bunch of these without having to tune them per sensor and tweak the code per sensor. I just want to be able to grab one off the shelf and know that it'll work within certain metrics, I guess. So I'm starting off with a 2-inch piece of aluminum. 1-inch squared, a 2-inch squared, and a 4-inch squared piece of aluminum that I got from a chafing dish, I think, stuff we had food in. And I'm using an Arduino microcontroller, the resistor, as I said, and the wire. I'm actually going to use this wire. I'm going to use these wires here, which I got from a something off the side of the road, most likely, or the electronics junk shop. Basically, anytime I see like an old printer or VCR or monitor, I grab it and take it apart. Not necessarily for all the little components in there, but mainly because there's all this wire. So I've never had to actually pay for wire for this little hobby of mine. I just gut the thing, toss it into the electronic recycling, and then just keep all the wire. And so I've got all gauges, all sizes. So usually what I do is I'll just only have to cut off this little end piece here, and then then I'm good to go. And I just use my wire stripper, and I'm good to go. So I'll have this assembled, and then the next video we'll see how well it works.